In the heart of the lush, rolling hills of the land of Asante, where the sun painted the savanna gold and the whispers of the wind carried the ancient stories of the ancestors, stood a grand estate, a testament to the wealth and artistry of the family of the renowned art collectors, Nana Kofi and Nana Ama. Their home, a sprawling structure of clay and timber, adorned with intricate carvings and vibrant textiles, was a beacon of prosperity, a place where art and life intertwined. Within these walls lived two daughters, Lena and Serena, as different as the night and day. Serena, the elder, was a vision of beauty, her skin the color of polished ebony, her eyes sparkling like the stars in the night sky, and her laughter as melodious as the song of the weaverbird. She moved with an effortless grace, her presence commanding attention, her charm weaving a spell around all who encountered her. She was the embodiment of the ideal Asante maiden, a jewel to be admired and cherished. Lena, on the other hand, was a quiet spirit, her beauty more subtle, her eyes holding the depth of ancient wisdom, and her voice a soft murmur, like the rustling leaves of the sacred baobab tree. She found her solace in the company of books, her mind wandering through the worlds woven by words, her heart yearning for knowledge and understanding. While Serena danced and socialized, Lena immersed herself in the stories of her ancestors, the legends of the great warriors, the tales of the wise elders, and the mysteries of the spirit world. Nana Kofi and Nana Ama, renowned throughout the land for their exquisite collection of art, doted on Serena, their radiant daughter, their pride and joy. They saw in her the continuation of their legacy, the embodiment of their artistic spirit. Serena, in turn, basked in their adoration, her laughter echoing through the halls, her presence filling every room with warmth and light. Lena, though loved, often felt like a shadow, a silent observer in her own home. She watched as her parents showered Serena with gifts, their eyes filled with pride as they showcased her talents and beauty to their esteemed guests. She listened as they praised Serena's social graces, her ability to charm and captivate, her every word and gesture celebrated. Lena found her refuge in the library, a vast chamber filled with ancient scrolls and beautifully bound books. She spent hours immersed in their pages, learning about the history of her people, the intricate symbolism of their art, and the profound wisdom of their proverbs. She learned about the spirits that inhabited the land, the ancestors who guided their paths, and the delicate balance between the seen and the unseen. One day, Nana Kofi took Serena to the bustling market, a vibrant tapestry of colors, sounds, and scents. He bought her exquisite fabrics, shimmering jewelry, and rare artifacts, showcasing her beauty and charm to the merchants and artisans. Lena, left behind, wandered into the garden, a place of tranquility and reflection. She sat beneath the shade of a majestic silk cotton tree, its branches reaching towards the sky like the arms of a benevolent giant. As she gazed at the intricate patterns of the leaves, she felt a pang of longing, a yearning for the attention and affection that Serena received so effortlessly. She wondered if she would ever be seen, if her quiet presence would ever be acknowledged. She closed her eyes, and the whispers of the wind seemed to carry a message, a promise that her time would come, that her voice would be heard. Years passed, and Serena blossomed into a young woman of breathtaking beauty, her charm and grace captivating all who met her. She became the toast of the Asante society, her presence gracing every gathering, her laughter filling every room. Lena, meanwhile, continued her solitary pursuits, her mind growing sharper, her spirit stronger. She became a repository of knowledge, a silent guardian of the family's history and traditions. Then, tragedy struck. Nana Kofi and Nana Ama, on their way to a prestigious art exhibition in a neighboring kingdom, were caught in a fierce storm, their journey ending in a devastating crash. The news spread like wildfire, casting a pall of grief over the land. Serena, now an orphan, was inconsolable, her tears flowing like the rivers of the rainy season. Lena, though heartbroken, remained composed, her strength a pillar of support for her grieving sister. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the family's estate was divided. Serena, as the elder daughter, inherited the lion's share, the grand mansion, the renowned art collection, and the vast lands that surrounded them. Lena received a small inheritance, a modest sum of gold and a forgotten cottage nestled in a secluded corner of the estate, a place that had long been neglected, its walls crumbling, its garden overgrown. Serena, now the sole heiress, transformed the family mansion into a hub of social activity, a place where the elite of the Asante society gathered to celebrate her newfound wealth and status. She hosted lavish parties, her laughter echoing through the halls, her presence filling every room with a dazzling light. Lena, meanwhile, retreated to her cottage, finding solace in its quiet solitude. She spent her days tending to the overgrown garden, restoring its beauty, and her nights immersed in her books, her mind exploring the depths of knowledge. The cottage, though small and neglected, became her sanctuary, a place where she could connect with her inner self, a space where she could hear the whispers of her ancestors. She learned to appreciate the simple things in life, the beauty of the wildflowers, the song of the birds, and the gentle rhythm of the rain. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Lena sat on the porch of her cottage, gazing at the stars. She felt a sense of peace, a quiet contentment that came from within. She realized that her worth was not defined by the attention she received, but by the strength of her spirit, the depth of her knowledge, and the kindness of her heart. She was Lena, the quiet observer, the silent guardian, and she was content in her own skin. However, a faint shadow of a question lingered, a sense of unease that whispered in the back of her mind. Why was she given the cottage? Why was she given so little? Was it truly an oversight, or was there more to the story? She pushed the questions aside, choosing to focus on the present, on the beauty that surrounded her, on the peace that filled her soul. Yet, the seeds of doubt had been planted, and they would soon begin to sprout, leading her down a path of discovery and transformation. The rhythms of life in the Asante estate settled into a new pattern. Serena, now the reigning mistress of the grand house, filled it with the sounds of celebration and the presence of esteemed guests. Lena, in her quiet cottage, found a different kind of rhythm, one dictated by the rustling leaves, the songs of the bush birds, and the turning pages of her beloved books. It was during this time that Dr. Elias Thorne arrived. He was a man of quiet intensity, his eyes holding the keenness of one who sought the hidden truths within the world. He had come to the Asante estate, drawn by the reputation of the late Nana Kofi and Nana Ama's art collection, a collection whispered to hold some of the most precious artifacts of the region. Dr. Thorne, a respected historian and art authenticator, began his work, meticulously examining each piece, his fingers tracing the intricate carvings, his eyes studying the subtle nuances of the paintings. He moved through the grand halls, a solitary figure in a world of social gatherings, his presence a quiet counterpoint to the lively atmosphere. One afternoon, while exploring the outer reaches of the estate, he stumbled upon Lena's cottage. The overgrown garden, though neglected, held a wild beauty, and the cottage itself, though weathered, exuded a sense of quiet dignity. Intrigued, he approached, and found Lena tending to a patch of vibrant wildflowers. Their meeting was a meeting of minds, a connection forged in the shared love of art and history. Lena, despite her quiet nature, possessed a deep understanding of the Asante artistic traditions, her knowledge gleaned from years of studying the family's collection and the ancient scrolls in the library. Dr. Thorne, in turn, shared his expertise, his passion for uncovering the stories behind the artifacts. They began to spend hours together, their conversations flowing like the gentle currents of the nearby river. Dr. Thorne was captivated by Lena's insights, her ability to see beyond the surface, to understand the deeper meanings embedded in the art. Lena, in turn, found in Dr. Thorne a kindred spirit, someone who appreciated her knowledge and valued her perspective. As Dr. Thorne delved deeper into the art collection, he began to notice unsettling discrepancies. Certain pieces, once hailed as masterpieces, bore subtle signs of forgery. The colors were slightly off, the brushstrokes lacked the fluidity of the original artists, and the materials seemed inconsistent with the era. He shared his concerns with Lena, his voice hushed, his eyes filled with a sense of urgency. Lena, though initially hesitant to question her parents' collection, recognized the significance of Dr. Thorne's findings. She knew that the integrity of the art was paramount, a reflection of the history and spirit of their people. Together, they embarked on a secret investigation, their work shrouded in secrecy, their discoveries hidden from the prying eyes of the estate's inhabitants. They pored over ancient texts, consulted with local artisans, and examined the artifacts with meticulous care. They found that some of the most valuable pieces had been replaced with cleverly crafted forgeries. The original artifacts, they suspected, had been sold on the black market, their whereabouts unknown. The realization was chilling, a betrayal of the trust placed in the family, a desecration of the cultural heritage. As they pieced together the puzzle, they began to suspect that the deception had begun shortly after their parents' deaths. Serena, they realized, had the means and the motive to carry out such a scheme. Her lavish lifestyle, her constant need for funds, and her disregard for the true value of the art all pointed to her involvement. The weight of their discovery pressed heavily on Lena. She had always held Serena in a place of some respect, even with the differences between them. The idea that her sister could be capable of such deceit was difficult to comprehend. Dr. Thorne, sensing her distress, offered words of encouragement, reminding her that the truth, however painful, was essential. They continued their investigation, their determination fueled by a sense of duty, a desire to protect the legacy of their ancestors. They knew that their path was fraught with danger, that exposing Serena's crimes would have far-reaching consequences. But they also knew that they could not remain silent, that they had a responsibility to bring the truth to light. The air in the cottage became thick with the weight of their discoveries, the atmosphere charged with a sense of urgency. They knew that time was of the essence, that they had to act quickly before Serena's deception caused irreparable damage. The quiet of the cottage was now filled with the whispers of the past, the echoes of hidden truths, and the determination to bring justice to the light. The secret investigation, conducted within the humble walls of Lena's cottage, had become a dangerous game. Every discovery, every whispered conversation, was a step closer to exposing Serena's treachery, and every step was fraught with the risk of being discovered. Lena and Dr. Thorne moved with a hushed urgency, their shared purpose binding them together, their determination fueled by the gravity of their findings. They meticulously documented each discrepancy in the art collection, cross-referencing ancient texts and consulting with elders who possessed deep knowledge of the traditional artistic techniques. They discovered that Serena, in her haste to profit from the art, had made careless mistakes. Some of the forgeries were crafted with materials that were not available during the time of the original pieces, while others bore stylistic inconsistencies that would be obvious to a trained eye. The more they uncovered, the clearer the picture became. Serena had systematically replaced priceless artifacts with expertly crafted forgeries, selling the originals to unscrupulous collectors on the black market. The wealth she flaunted, the lavish parties she hosted, were all built upon a foundation of deceit. Lena grappled with a whirlwind of emotions. Disbelief warred with a growing sense of betrayal. She had always known Serena to be ambitious and fond of luxury, but she had never imagined her capable of such calculated deception. The idea that her sister could so brazenly betray their family's legacy, their cultural heritage, was almost too much to bear. Dr. Thorne, sensing Lena's inner turmoil, offered words of reassurance, reminding her that the truth, however painful, was necessary. He spoke of the importance of preserving the integrity of their culture, of honoring the artists who had poured their souls into their creations. One evening, as they were poring over a particularly intricate piece of forgery, Lena noticed a small, almost imperceptible detail, a tiny mark, hidden within the intricate carvings, a mark that she recognized from her childhood. It was a signature, a symbol used by a renowned artisan who had worked for their family generations ago. The discovery sent a jolt of excitement through them. They had found a clue, a lead that could potentially expose the entire operation. They traced the signature, following a trail that led them to a hidden workshop, tucked away in the depths of the estate, a place where the forgeries were being crafted. They decided to investigate the workshop under the cover of darkness, their movements shrouded in secrecy. They crept through the shadows, their hearts pounding in their chests, the silence broken only by the chirping of crickets and the rustling of leaves. Inside the workshop, they found a scene of organized chaos, tools scattered across the workbench, unfinished forgeries lining the walls, and a collection of materials that were clearly not of the era of the original artifacts. They also found a ledger, a meticulously kept record of the sales, the buyers, and the prices. As they examined the ledger, they heard a noise, a faint sound that sent a chill down their spines. They quickly extinguished the lantern and hid behind a stack of canvases, their breath held tight. The door creaked open, and Serena entered, accompanied by a shadowy figure. They spoke in hushed tones, their words barely audible, but their intent was clear. They were planning to move the remaining forgeries, to cover their tracks. Lena and Dr. Thorne watched in stunned silence, their eyes wide with disbelief. They had witnessed the truth with their own eyes, heard the evidence with their own ears. There was no longer any doubt, Serena was the mastermind behind the deception. But as they prepared to slip away, to gather evidence and expose Serena's crimes, they made a fatal mistake. They brushed against a canvas, causing it to fall to the floor with a loud crash. Serena and her accomplice turned, their eyes scanning the darkness. "Who's there?" Serena's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Lena and Dr. Thorne knew they had been discovered. They made a run for it, their feet pounding against the earth, the sound echoing through the night. Serena and her accomplice pursued them, their footsteps close behind. They reached the edge of the estate, the dense forest looming before them. They plunged into the darkness, their bodies crashing through the undergrowth, their hearts pounding in their chests. They knew they were in grave danger, that Serena would stop at nothing to protect her secrets. They had stumbled upon a web of deceit, a network of lies that threatened to ensnare them both. And now, they had to fight for their survival, to expose the truth and bring justice to the light. The frantic chase through the moonlit forest had left Lena and Dr. Thorne breathless, their bodies aching, their minds reeling from the revelations of the night. They had managed to evade Serena and her accomplice, but they knew they were far from safe. The estate, once their home, had become a dangerous territory, a place where secrets lurked in every shadow. They sought refuge in a secluded cave, a place where Lena had often retreated to as a child, a sanctuary hidden amidst the rugged terrain. The cave, with its cool, damp air and its echoing silence, offered a temporary respite from the turmoil that had engulfed their lives. As they sat in the darkness, their breaths slowly returning to normal, Lena's mind raced with a whirlwind of thoughts. The betrayal, the danger, the weight of the secrets they had uncovered, it was all too much to bear. She felt a deep sense of despair, a feeling that her world had been turned upside down, that everything she had believed in had been shattered. Dr. Thorne, sensing her distress, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Lena," he said, his voice gentle but firm, "we cannot give up. We have come too far, uncovered too much. We must expose the truth, no matter the cost." Lena nodded, her eyes filled with a newfound determination. She knew that Dr. Thorne was right. They had a responsibility to bring justice, to protect the legacy of their ancestors. As the first rays of dawn filtered through the entrance of the cave, Lena remembered a locket her parents had given her, a small, intricately carved piece of jewelry that she had always cherished. She had kept it hidden, a reminder of a time when she felt loved and accepted. She pulled the locket from her pocket, her fingers tracing the delicate carvings. As she examined it closely, she noticed a small, almost invisible seam. With trembling hands, she pried the locket open, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, she found a folded piece of parchment, yellowed with age. She carefully unfolded it, her heart pounding in her chest. It was a letter, written in her mother's elegant script. As she read the letter, her eyes widened in disbelief. The words on the page revealed a shocking truth. She was not Nana Kofi and Nana Ama's biological daughter. She had been adopted, taken in from a struggling artist who had been a dear friend of her parents. The revelation sent a jolt of electricity through her. It explained the emotional distance she had always felt from her parents, the subtle favoritism shown to Serena. It explained the cottage, and the smaller inheritance. The letter went on to explain that her biological parents had been forced to give her up due to dire circumstances, but that they had entrusted her to Nana Kofi and Nana Ama, knowing that she would be raised in a loving and supportive environment. The letter also contained a map, a hand-drawn sketch that led to a hidden stash of original artwork, the true inheritance her parents had intended for her. They knew that Serena's greed would be her downfall, and they had prepared a way to protect Lena. Lena's mind raced. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. The secrets, the lies, the betrayals, they all made sense now. She shared the letter and the map with Dr. Thorne, her voice trembling with emotion. Dr. Thorne, his eyes filled with understanding, recognized the significance of the discovery. "Lena," he said, "this changes everything. This is the evidence we need to expose Serena's crimes and reclaim your rightful inheritance." They decided to follow the map, to find the hidden stash of artwork. They knew that it would be a dangerous journey, that Serena would stop at nothing to protect her secrets. But they also knew that they had a duty to honor her parents, to reclaim her heritage. They set out, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. They followed the map, navigating through the dense forest, their movements shrouded in secrecy. The map led them to a hidden chamber, concealed beneath an ancient baobab tree. Inside, they found a collection of priceless artifacts, the original masterpieces that Serena had replaced with forgeries. Lena's eyes filled with tears as she gazed upon the artifacts. She felt a deep connection to her biological parents, to the artists who had poured their souls into their creations. They gathered the artifacts, knowing that they held the key to exposing Serena's crimes. They also knew that they had to be careful, that they had to protect the artifacts from Serena's grasp. As they emerged from the hidden chamber, they heard a noise, a faint sound that sent a chill down their spines. Serena and her accomplice had found them. They were trapped, their backs against the ancient baobab tree, the priceless artifacts at their feet. Serena's eyes gleamed with a cold, calculating anger. "You thought you could outsmart me," she hissed, her voice laced with venom. "You thought you could take what's mine." Lena stood tall, her eyes filled with a newfound strength. "These artifacts were never yours to take," she said, her voice clear and firm. "They belong to our people, to our heritage." The confrontation had begun, the final act of a drama that had been unfolding for years. And Lena knew that the truth, however painful, would prevail. The confrontation beneath the ancient baobab tree hung heavy with tension. Serena, her face contorted with rage, stood before Lena and Dr. Thorne, her eyes fixed on the priceless artifacts they had unearthed. The air crackled with unspoken words, the weight of years of deceit and betrayal pressing down on them all. "Give them to me," Serena demanded, her voice sharp and commanding. "They belong to me." Lena stood firm, her gaze unwavering. "They belong to our ancestors," she replied, her voice resonating with a newfound strength. "And I will not allow you to desecrate their memory any longer." Serena lunged forward, her hand outstretched, attempting to snatch the artifacts. But Dr. Thorne intervened, his movements swift and decisive. He placed himself between Serena and the artifacts, his eyes filled with a quiet determination. "You have caused enough damage," he said, his voice firm. "Your deceit ends here." A struggle ensued, a clash between the forces of greed and the guardians of truth. Serena, fueled by desperation, fought with a ferocity born of fear, while Dr. Thorne, guided by a sense of justice, defended the artifacts with unwavering resolve. During the struggle, Serena's accomplice attempted to slip away, intending to escape with some of the artifacts. But Lena, her spirit ignited by a sense of purpose, intercepted him, her movements agile and precise. She confronted him, her eyes burning with a righteous anger. "You will not escape," she declared, her voice ringing out through the clearing. "You will be held accountable for your crimes." The confrontation escalated, the sounds of the struggle echoing through the forest. As the fight reached its climax, the sound of approaching voices broke through the tension. The villagers, alerted by the commotion, had arrived, their faces filled with concern and curiosity. They witnessed the scene before them, the clash between the sisters, the struggle for the artifacts. They listened as Lena, her voice clear and strong, exposed Serena's treachery, revealing the forgeries, the hidden stash of original artwork, and the letter that unveiled her true identity. The villagers, their faces filled with shock and disbelief, turned to Serena, their eyes filled with disappointment and anger. Serena, her facade shattered, her lies exposed, stood before them, her head bowed in shame. The truth had been revealed, the shadows of deceit dispelled. The villagers, recognizing Lena's rightful claim to the artifacts and her unwavering commitment to justice, rallied behind her. They pledged their support, their voices echoing through the clearing, their determination to uphold the traditions and values of their ancestors. Serena, stripped of her power and exposed for her crimes, was brought before the village elders. They listened to the evidence, their faces grave, their judgments swift. Serena was stripped of her inheritance and banished from the village, her reputation tarnished, her name forever associated with deceit. Lena, now vindicated and recognized as the rightful heir, inherited the true masterpieces and the cottage. She used her newfound wealth to establish an art foundation, dedicated to supporting struggling artists and preserving authentic artwork. She transformed the cottage into a place of learning and inspiration, a sanctuary for artists and scholars alike. Dr. Thorne, his work complete, prepared to depart, his heart filled with admiration for Lena's courage and resilience. He had witnessed her transformation, her journey from a quiet observer to a powerful advocate for truth and justice. "Lena," he said, his voice filled with warmth, "you have found your voice, your purpose. You have reclaimed your heritage and honored the legacy of your ancestors." Lena smiled, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Dr. Thorne," she replied. "You have helped me to see the truth, to understand my own strength." As Dr. Thorne departed, Lena stood beneath the ancient baobab tree, her gaze fixed on the horizon. She felt a sense of peace, a quiet contentment that came from within. She had faced the shadows of her past, confronted the darkness of betrayal, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined. She had found her freedom, not in wealth or power, but in the truth, in the strength of her spirit, and in the enduring legacy of her ancestors. The cottage, once a symbol of her isolation, had become her sanctuary, a place where she could nurture her love for art, build a new life, and honor the traditions of her people. And as the sun rose, casting its golden light over the land, Lena knew that her journey had just begun, that her destiny was intertwined with the spirit of her ancestors, and that her voice would echo through the ages, a testament to the power of truth and the resilience of the human heart.